All right, thank you for staying with us. Let's head straight to the papers now. And I begin with the Nation newspaper. The major story here says U.S. ECOWAS warn Niger junta over ousted president. EU, AU, that's the European Union, the African Union expressed concern over Bazoum's poor condition in detention. And then another story here, tragedy as 4 die in Zaria Central Mosque collapse. Tragedy as 4 die in Zaria Central Mosque collapse. Resident doctors suspend strike to review progress in 2 weeks. That comes as some good news. Resident doctors suspend strike to review progress in 2 weeks. My battle with prostate cancer by Patu Tomi. You find the details inside this newspaper this morning. Obaseki, my deputy, is so desperate for power, he plotted coup against me. Governor of Edo State speaking. I went to jail 40 times in 6 years. Wow, interesting. Now, 3 IPOB ESN members killed as military vows fresh onslaught. Reports CBN owes JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, $15 billion cash receipts. Apex Bank pledged foreign securities in return for cash. Who has what story? Right.
I'd like to begin with the story of Bishop Renold Bell.
Okay.
And
it says, story. Yeah.
No, it's on the front page, and it says, I went to jail 40 times in 6 years, says drug dealer turned motivational speaker. And he...
Seriously?
Yes.
No,
so
he has
told the story to inspire people to say you can turn your life around at any time. And he told us how he, grew up. His parents were alcoholics. His father introduced his mother to alcohol, and that goes to show the impact of your actions on your children. Don't just assume that they do not understand what you're doing. It actually has impact on them, because this man actually said that in most of his childhood pictures, he saw alcohol bottles around him because his parents were always dropping him off at alcohol shops, and that was how he grew up. And he could not even finish secondary school.
He didn't know anything else.
Exactly. And then he dropped out, became an alcoholic, marijuana, started selling drugs, went to jail 40 times for different issues, assaulting, stealing, fighting, and all of that, until he met God, and that changed his life around. And so he's going around now in the U.S. saying that, inspiring people to say you don't have to allow your background to determine, your future and all of that. So it's quite inspiring.
I like the story. It's a good one to encourage people. But let me quickly take this story on Professor Patu Tomi talking about his battle with prostate cancer. We know that in this part of the world, most people do not share their stories and experiences, especially when it comes to health challenges. And it's a good one coming from him because of his influence, the influence he wields in the society, talking about this and how it's important for men to begin to pay attention to their prostate. If you are 40 years upward, it's important that you begin to pay attention to your prostate. He found out last year, and he's lucky to have had, persons who are medical professionals who were able to attend to him and are still overseeing his health as it is to ensure that he's stable. They have told him he needs to relax and take things easy. We know how involved he was with the elections last year and early this year, but right now he needs to focus on his health with regards, especially because of his age at this time. We know that prostate cancer kills a lot of men in this part of the world if they do not pay attention and detect it early enough. Any other story? I
have the story on resident doctors suspend strike. You would recall that the strike began on the 26th of July. And there were meetings with the National Executive Council, and gratefully, they have been told to suspend their strike to resume work today, the 12th of August, by 8 a.m. So we would also recall that some of the demands that they made includes the review of the consolidated medical salary structure, payment of the 2023 Medical Residency Training Fund, issuance of circular by the Federal Ministry of Health for replacement of the doctors and nurses that have left the system with new ones, and the payment of salary arrears, improvement in hazard allowances by state governments, among others. So there will be a review on the progress made in terms of the implementation of their demands in another 2 weeks. But this is such a good news today.
Yeah, it's a good news. You recall that they also suspended their protest over the week. They were supposed to go on a protest on Wednesday. They suspended that. But it has been said that the low-hanging fruits with their demands, government should begin to look into all of those issues.
Those ones.
Yes, let's quickly go on a break. When we return, we'll continue looking through the newspaper headlines. All right, thank you for staying with us. So we are still looking through the newspaper headlines and still on the front page of the Nation newspaper. Toko, you have a story here.
Yes, I wanted to take the story about the IPOB ESN members that were killed. So 3 IPOB / ESN members were killed in a special police raid. The team stormed into their camp. The camp is found around Igbo in North Local Government, Enugu State. They killed 3 people. It was an ensuing gun deal, and they also recovered a few items. They were able to recover 4 pump action. They recovered locally fabricated revolver, pistols, 67 live cartridges, and military camouflage uniform, fabrics of IPOB insignia, and objects that were similar to amulets and recriminating exhibits were recovered by the police. The police commissioner for Enugu State, Ahmed Amani, has noted a successful operation. It is in a constant oppressive to quell the people that are enforcing the illegal sit-at-home within Enugu State, and we must applaud those that the successes they've recorded so far. We're hoping they are able to effectively put an end to what has become a challenge to the citizens within the Southeast and their inability to be able to carry out the activity. They have a call line. It's a police command emergency hotline. It's in the papers. I would like anybody from the Southeast to get those numbers so that if you see anyone that is enforcing the sit-at-home, or you cite anyone that is with gunshot wounds around, because a lot of the IPOB and ESN members sustained gunshot wounds during the attack, and they are going to be seeking treatment, they should call those numbers. So I would like Nigerians to take ownership of this journey in protecting themselves by taking those numbers and informing the police when they see or suspect anyone involved. And there were also a lot of other operations that were reported in the papers, but I have to say that the police is doing a whole lot to bolster confidence of the citizens towards their action. A list of all the criminals they've been able to arrest within the Southeast, and we're hoping they have the best of luck in continuing to catch these people and reduce the number of Nigerians being, I don't know, it's just such a sad thing that
it's
you
sad
have
because
work, but you cannot
we're
work.
talking about the number of losses they have incurred as a result of this sit-at-home order. Talking about economically, how they have lost a huge chunk of monies in the past years. But then, well, we've seen action being taken now. We hope it is sustained at the end of the day. We'll move on quickly to the Punch newspaper. The major story here: Nigerians in Niger beg federal government for evacuation over impending attack. Say hosts are already displaying hostility, fears xenophobic attacks. NEMA, NIDCOM plan repatriation if required. ECOWAS defense chiefs meet in Accra today. Now, another story here. Northern women face divorce, trauma for receiving treatment from male doctors. An interesting story there. Another one here, why I stopped Shuaibu from entering my house. Obaseki, governor of Edo State, speaking. And another one, household where husband, wife, son are vulcanizers. Family trade, household where husband, wife, son are vulcanizers. Then on the top corner, we have how Tinubu Erufai ministerial deal crumbled. Why DSS voided Kaduna governor's initial clearance. Who has what story here?
I have the household where husband, wife, son are vulcanizers. So there's this popular family in Samod Street in New Garage, Ibadan, where all the family members are vulcanizers. And the husband says he's a professional tire technician. Please, professional tire
I like that name.
technician. And he happened to be doing this for 14 years before.
Wow.
For 14 years. He had actually tried fashion designing. It didn't work. He tried Okada riding, that's motorcycling. And it also didn't work. So he decided to stay on this one as a professional tire technician. And his wife is also an NC holder. She was working in a primary school before as a teacher, but found out that, you know, this work was more lucrative and decided to join her husband in this trade. Alongside, she also sells yam on the streets. And then the son also was interested when he was 5 and actually just joined the family. Now he's 8 years old. He aspires to be a medical doctor in the future. But this story just highlights the resilient nature of human beings and Nigerians especially, knowing fully well that if one way, you know, Yorubas will say on if one way doesn't work, they would always just pick up immediately and do something else. I'm really so proud of this family, and I hope that their enterprise can expand to other parts of the country.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see that they are educated to an extent, and they still have ambition, especially for the child who is being ambitious, saying that he wants to become a medical doctor at the end of the day. So learning the skill is still also very good. So let me quickly take the major story here, talking about Nigerians in Niger begging the federal government for evacuation over impending attack. And they are scared about xenophobic attacks. We recall how South Africa and Nigeria at some point when there was xenophobic attacks towards Nigerians in South Africa. So they are scared now that the Nigerians are becoming hostile towards them because of, you know, the sanctions and all of it. So they are asking the federal government to begin to look at bringing them back home. And you know how closely knit we are with regards to the boundaries between Niger, Nigeria. So how we'll begin to separate these persons, because we have married each other as it is. So some persons, they'll tell you that the distance is like between a sitting room and a bedroom. So how do you begin to identify who is a Nigerian here? Do we have documents that really separate these persons if we are talking about repatriating them? We know that we also have a number of persons who are displaced, also living in Niger because of the Boko Haram attacks in the northeast. So it's a lot for the government as it is. That's why a lot of persons are saying that government needs to manage the situation as much as possible so that it doesn't spill beyond what it is at this point.
I would have thought that they would have, you know, evacuated Nigerians first before sending in the military.
Well, there are two categories of there. The northern Nigerians, I think it will be a tough thing to evacuate because they are like family.
They are family,
I'm sure
closely knit.
Nigerians that are from south, and you know our southeastern brothers, they would be trading in such a place. They might find it. They might be the ones more requesting for evacuation because they are obviously not able to blend in the way.
And the use of military, let's also understand that the chairman of ECOWAS, that's President Bola Tinubu, said it's a last resort. It's not as if they are going in now. It's a standby force. So they are still looking at having engagements, having dialogue, diplomatic engagements. It is when that breaks down that they would step in using force. Any other story here?
Yes, I have the story of the northern women who face divorce trauma for receiving treatment from male doctors. And this is actually prevalent in states like Sokoto, Bauchi, Zamfara, Kebbi, Jigawa, and all that. And the story highlighted, you know, should I say the news highlighted the story of a certain Halima, you know, who actually went into labor, and because there were no female doctors around, she had to allow a male doctor to attend to her. And despite the fact that she was in coma for 3 days and she even lost the baby, when she got back home, the husband was threatening her with a divorce, that you should not have allowed a man to touch you and to see your private parts and all of that.
Wow.
And it just makes me think this was a woman that was literally fighting for her life. So how would she have been able to discriminate or to tell the doctor, please don't touch me, you're a man? It was between her life and what the
consequences,
husband,
yeah.
you know, would have wanted. And it is not, she's not the first person going through this. It's like a, you know, a trend in northern part of, the northern part of Nigeria, where, you know, husbands do not allow their wives to, you know, to be attended to, no matter what. And this cleric is saying that it is actually against, you know, a doctrine in Islam.
Wow.
But then you can allow it if there's an extreme case, you know, of life and death. So we just hope that, you know, there can be more exposure and understanding, you know, and, you know, just bending the rules a bit so
When
that,
it comes to religion,
you know,
it's a lot.
I know.
All right, let's quickly move on to the Daily Sun. ECOWAS orders deployment of troops to Niger Republic, directs defense chiefs to activate standby force. AU-UN officials present at meeting. And another story here, tackle insecurity, revive dead industries. CSO still Tinubu, 21 killed in midnight attack in Plateau. Governor expresses worry over renewed killings. Ministerial list, Ohaneze accuses Tinubu of shortchanging Southeast. Southeast governors meet in Enugu, vow to end insecurity in zone. Kidnapping reducing in Southeast. We are getting that information here. Edo Deputy Governor Shaibu may join APC next week. Who has what story here, basically?
Now, lots of stories, but I want to take the story about the illegal possession of firearms. The court has fixed for the suspended governor of the central bank. He's going to be answering for the fact that he was in possession of illegal firearms, and he will be answering that case August 15th, that's next week. And the expectation is that Emefiele had tried to stop this further prosecution. You know, he was trying to appeal to the court not to try this particular case, but the justice in charge, Justice Nicholas Owiebo, has fixed the date for hearing, and he has said this would enable the defense to reply to the prosecution's further counter affidavit. I don't understand why there will be a case and people will be going to court to stop the opposition from trying their case. But we're hoping that anything concerning Governor Emefiele is done to the by the book, to the letter. A lot of Nigerians hear his name, and it's with a sort of like negative feeling that comes with it. But we also don't want any issue with the rule of law. So we're happy that this is following, the court case is following due process, and we're looking forward to on that date to hear what the details of that process would be.
Quickly,
there will be any struggle.
Kidnapping reducing in Southeast. It's important to take that story. The Chief of Army Staff, Major General Taoreed Lagbaja, has said that the case of kidnapping and other criminal activities in the Southeast geopolitical zones are declining. He went on to applaud the efforts of the Nigerian Army in conjunction with other security agencies to reduce this drastically. And I feel like it's good news, knowing fully well that when we speak about the South, we'd probably just worry about kidnapping. And we hope that now that it's reduced, there will be a total eradication of this kind of cases in the Southeast. So kudos.
There's so much stories to
take today.
but we have to wrap things up here.